ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ
45th shloka. Please repeat once after me. Ritu sudarshana kalaha parameshti parigraha ugra samvatsaro daksho Vishramo Vishwadakshinaha. We completed up to the 415th Nama with the 44th Shloka in the previous class. And now in the 45th Shloka, there are 10 Namas starting from 416th Nama to 425th Nama. 416 is Rituhu. Ritu means seasons. Rituhu refers to the one, he is the very season itself. The one in the form of seasons. Seasons indicate time. Therefore, the one who is in the form of time, the Kala Tattva itself. Now, how many seasons are we aware of? We are aware of generally 4 seasons as per geography. Right? You have the summer solstice, the winter solstice, the spring equinox and the autumnal equinox. The 4 positions of the earth when it goes around the sun. Traditionally, there are 6 ritus, 6 seasons. Because it is a cycle, you actually don't have a start point. But for convenience sake, we start from spring because it is very comfortable to all. So, Vasanta, Grishma, Varsha. Vasanta Ritu is spring, Grishma is summer, and Varsha is monsoon. And then you have Sharad, Hemanta and Shishira. Sharad is fall or autumn. Hemanta is pre-winter. And Shishira Ritu is winter or high winter or the finishing of winter. Up to the finishing of winter, it is Shishira Ritu. All these 6 Ritus, seasons put together, makes one Samvatsara, which marks the time of Bhumi going one full round, completing one full revolution around Surya Devata. The time taken for earth to complete one full revolution around the sun. This is marked as a Samvatsara or a year. Now, I seriously don't understand how the Western calendar still manages, to reckon a new year which does not fit into any significant position of the earth on its orbit around the sun. While this entire revolution is taken as one calendar year, which describes almost a circle. Now, in a circle, what can be the starting point? There can be no point which technically or reasonably would be considered as the start point or an end point. But for transactional reasons, if you have to mark the beginning of the year, if you have to reckon some point as the beginning of the year, then it should have some significance, right? I still don't understand how and why January 1st, what is the significance of the earth in its orbit? I am sure it is different. It is in different position in the orbit in different January 1st, okay? And what is the reason for January to have 31 days? Why February has 28 days and 29 every 4 years? Balancing figure, you park it somewhere. No? You have a suspense account in accountancy. Any balancing figure, you have a February, a suspense account to park it somewhere. And then March has 31. Why April, June, September all have only 30? Why we don't question this at all? When it is from the West, we take it for granted. When it is from our tradition, we question. We say, oh, why are you believing all this? It is all superstition, right? Our system, our calendar system is based on the position of the Surya Devata from the earth standpoint, the position of the earth in its orbit, the position of moon, the position of nakshatras from the point of earth. With all these, the calendar is beautifully reckoned. Bhagavan, because it is Bhagavan in the form of Kala Tattva, nothing is taken for granted. Even time is not taken for granted. Everything is given due importance. Everything is given proper respect. Why is Bhagavan called as Rituhu here? Because he, in the form of the seasons, he removes the difficulty of people that happens to people during the timely seasons. Summer is nice. People wait for summer, but too much of summer is not good for us. No? We want to change. It's very hot. We get very uncomfortable. So Bhagavan takes a form of Varsha Ritu. He gives rain. And too much of rain again is boring. Clothes don't dry. You can't freely move around. It gets slushy all over. So again, Bhagavan is in the form of Sharad Ritu. He stops the rain, and he also brings the weather to a controllable temperature, and the trees and plants get ready for a fresh preparation. So they shell off all their leaves and everything, and then they start getting ready for spring. And then you have the winter, and then the spring again, where you have fresh flowers and fruits start growing, right? So it is Bhagavan in the form of seasons who is giving us this change, and who is also nourishing the earth and all the living beings in this earth. 417. Sudarshanaha. Sudarshanaha. Darshana means vision. You get to see him, right? Sight. Darshana. Sudarshana means that which is very auspicious or very good. Bhagavan himself is called Sudarshanaha. Now there are 3 ways in which we can understand the meaning of this Nama based on Adi Shankara's commentary. While we don't get to even easily meet the politicians and the leaders around, it is not easy that we get to meet any of them. Even a doctor's appointment, getting through and meeting the doctor when we are in need is so difficult. Now what about Bhagavan, who is the leader of the entire universe, the controller the master of the entire universe? How rare or how difficult it is to see him. How many days before do you have to fix an appointment to meet Bhagavan, to get the grace of Bhagavan? How difficult it is. It is not difficult at all. It is the easiest. Because anything you see in this Srishti is the manifestation of Bhagavan himself. He is the Upadana Karana. Anything you see is Bhagavan, anything you hear is Bhagavan, anything you smell is Bhagavan, anything you taste or feel or experience or even think of is nothing but Bhagavan himself in different forms. And what about the instruments through which you get into contact with the objects in this world? You see them, you hear them. How do you get to see or hear them or even think about them? It is through various senses and the mind. Every instrument through which you transact with this world is also Bhagavan. And what about the witness principle? That witnesses, that is the Sakshi of your mind, of every thought that arises in your mind, because of which the presence of whom makes the eye function as the eye, the ear function as the ear, the nose or the smelling sense functions as it were, and the mind gets the capacity to think, to generate thoughts, in whose presence all these things happen, is Bhagavan. Therefore, Bhagavan is available here and now for me to meet with him. I think in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna tells Arjuna, Tasyaham sulabh partha. Hey Arjuna, I am very, very easy to attain. For whom? Nitya yuktasya yoginaha. For the one who has a prepared mind. Nitya yuktaha is an indication of a prepared mind. A mind that is filled with values. A mind that is filled with the prescribed qualifications required for the knowledge of Ishvara. Those qualifications are Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti, and Mumukshutvam. In short, we can codify them as 4 Ds. Vivekaha, discrimination. Vairagya, dispassion. Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam. This group of 6 virtues are called discipline. And Mumukshutva, which means desire for moksha. Now, with the mind that is endowed with these 4 Ds is called a prepared mind, and such a mind can easily see, okay, not as an object, grasp or understand, know Bhagavan, the real nature of Bhagavan, which is not different from Atma, the self itself. Therefore, he is called Sudarshanaha, the one who is easily graspable by the prepared mind. The second way in which this nama can be understood is knowledge of Bhagavan being very auspicious, being very shobhana. Why is it very auspicious? Because it gives you the greatest of results, which is moksha. Because it gives the greatest result and his knowledge is auspicious, and through this knowledge one gets to see him figuratively. Therefore, he is called Sudarshanaha. And the third way in which this nama is understood is that he is Sudarshanaha because he is the Lord of Sudarshana Chakra. Therefore, he is called Sudarshanaha. In all the avatars, in the Puranas, you find him with the Sudarshana Chakra. So, he is himself called Sudarshanaha. 418. Kalaha. Kalaha. Acharya gives 2 meanings here. The first meaning is the one who counts everything in the form of time. He is the one who counts everything in the form of time. Kalayati sarvam iti kalaha. Kalayati sarvam, the one who counts everything. The second meaning Acharya gives is Bhagavan himself is in every form in this Jagat. And at the time of Pralaya, every name and form in this Jagat resolves into him who is the Kala Tattva itself. Every form is called Kala. And all the Kalas liyate, they resolve. Yasmin, into whom. Therefore, he is called Kalaha. One should understand that time is a very important manifestation of Bhagavan and also the greatest of myth. The greatest of myth is time, because it is very fascinating to analyze time, and it is worth meditating on time. The past, the immediate past or the remote past, whichever past, the past was once present, and the future, whether immediate future or remote future, the future will be present, and the present is also present. Now, analyzing the present, what is the length of time of present? What is the length of time? When you say present, when you say now, what is the length of time? It is practically zero. It is so fascinating. The duration of present is zero. There is no time at all. And what is that flows through the time that you count is nothing but you, the Chaitanyam itself. It is you, the consciousness principle, that is the very content of time. When you say now, what is the content of it? It is you and nothing else. It is consciousness alone. And similarly, space also. For a moment, try to meditate about space without any object. Just space. Okay? So immediately from childhood, when we say space, we don't visualize anything within earth at all. We visualize only the outer space, right? Because that is what we are taught. The space is somewhere outside. It is everywhere, right? It is everywhere. And if you have to visualize space without the solar system, without the planets, without the star, without the meteors, without any celestial object, without any worldly object, just the space. Just the space. You see that there is nothing but you, that is the content of it. The time and space merge together because the content of both are nothing but you, the Chaitanya Tattva. And you are beyond time and space as well. You are the content of time and space, and you are also beyond time and beyond space. How are you beyond space? How are you beyond time? Because you constantly move around within 3 states of avastha. Okay, experientially, if you have to understand that you, the Chaitanyam, is beyond time and space, this Jagrat avastha, you have a time and space. In Swapna, this time and space is not there. You create a new time and space and you transact there. New time and space, new body, and you transact there. And what about in deep sleep state? You neither have this time and space nor the dream time and space. There is no time, there is no space. But do you exist? Yes, you exist. You continue to exist even when there is no time and space. Therefore, there is no time when you become timeless. Okay, it is not that now you are limited by a body and you are limited by time, and finally one day you will attain moksha and you will become timeless. Okay, you can't become timeless in time. Okay, because you are forever timeless. You are the timeless Chaitanya Tattva, which is the content of time, which is the content of space, and who is not different from Bhagavan himself, who is the Kala Tattva. In the 10th chapter of Gita, Vibhuti Yoga, Bhagavan Krishna says, Kala Kalayatamaham. Among all those that count, I am the time principle. That completes the 418th Nama. 419, Parameshti. Parameshti means the one who resides in the cave of the heart. Parama refers to the Hridaya. Now, Hridaya, Golaka, is the flesh heart only, the physical heart. Because there are, different understandings that are popular in the society, in the books of great authors. And they talk about right heart and left heart and things like that. Years before, or centuries before, Shankara himself has written in his Bhashyam. Probably there were people that time itself that he writes, if you want to know what Hridaya is, if you tear open your chest here, whatever you find here, that is Hridaya. The physical Golaka, the physical organ, which is the locus of your mind. When you sleep, the mind, where is the mind in your body? Where is the mind now? Where is the mind in your body when you are awake? It is all over the body, right? It pervades the body. That is why anybody touches you, even from behind, you turn, because your mind is behind the sense organ. Otherwise, you won't even feel, right? So, mind pervades the body in the waking state and is actively involved in all transactions. While when you go to sleep, where does the mind go back and resolve? The locus of the mind is the Hridaya. Hridaya is called the Golaka, the locus of the mind. There, supposed to be a space, Akasha, which is of the size of your thumb, okay? Your space in your heart supposed to be the size of your thumb. Something like you keep your thumb inside and you fold your fists, fold all your fingers. That is the size of your heart, and there is space for a thumb, right? So it is said that there is a space. Hridaya Golaka, there is a space. And mind resolves in that space. Parama. In that Hridaya, the one who stays there, the one who is in there as the Pratyagatma, the consciousness principle, who shines in the Hridaya Golaka as the consciousness principle, not the mind, okay? As the consciousness principle, as Yamadharma Raja says in Katopanishad, Angushtamatra Purusho Madhya Atmani Tishtati Ishano Bhuta Bhavyasya Tato Na Vijugupsate Etat Vaitat. So he shines as the consciousness, which is called the Pratyag Atma. Pratyag means the innermost, something that is very, very close. The self, the innermost self, okay? Because one is one commonly mistakes the body and the mind to be the self. Therefore, Shastra says Pratyaga Atma, that is closer to you than the body and the mind, the innermost self. That Pratyagatma is only called Parameshti. Etat Vaitat. It is the Brahman which is the Atma, the Chaitanyam in this body that shines in the Hridaya. Parameshti. 420th Nama. Parigraha. It is very interesting. Okay, I really enjoyed this Nama. Now, for those students who have been studying Vedanta for quite some time, you must have somewhere or the other come across your teacher talking of Yama Niyama, Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga has 8 angas, right? As the name says. These 8 angas are 8 disciplines which helps your mind to get focus. Samadhi is the culmination of Ashtanga Yoga. That is the result of Ashtanga Yoga. And what are the 8 angas? Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. That is the culmination. Now the first 2 you have, right? Yama and Niyama. Yama means list of don'ts. Niyama means list of do's. You have 5 don'ts and 5 do's. Now what is relevant to us here for this Nama is the first 5, Yama, the don'ts. The 5 are Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Aparigraha, Brahmacharya. Okay. So why are these called don'ts? Does it mean that don't do Ahimsa? No. Because all these 5 are in the form of negation. Okay. Ahimsa means himsa na kuryat. Satya, asatyam na bruyat. Okay, so these 5 are in the form of negation. It says don't do that which is bad. Okay, what is ahimsa? There is nothing that you have to do ahimsa. You have to stop doing himsa, that is ahimsa. You have to stop speaking lie. Even if you can't speak the truth, the Yama principle says stay quiet. If it is a situation where if it is too embarrassing to speak the truth, you better stay quiet than speaking false. Okay, don't speak lies. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya. Asteya is don't steal. Okay, don't rob. Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is don't indulge in sensory pleasures too much. Okay, the too much is maybe we can add because we have people from all the ashramas, right? So from ashrama to ashrama, the definition of brahmacharya is different. All right, now we are not taking Ashtanga Yoga class. We are in Vishnu Sahasranamam. The 5th one is aparigraha. This is where we have to come. Okay, now aparigraha means don't practice parigraha. Right? Now what is parigraha? We naturally are inclined to this habit of collecting everything that comes by our way. Okay, anything that comes, we take it and we keep it. Okay, we don't know why, whether we need it, we don't need it, that is not the point. I saw it, it came by my way, I keep it. I don't know about the US, but here in India, you get a lot of freebies. Anything you buy, you suddenly get something free. In fact, something is, to sell something in the market, something free is announced. And I may not even be a fan of that brand, but I go and buy that only because I get that which is free, okay? And I don't know how much of use it would be for me. And all these mommies here, they have this fantasy, a terrible fantasy of collecting these plastic boxes. I don't know why. You order food on any app, a Swiggy, Zomato or anything, it comes to you in a package, right? It is a disposable box. It is supposed to be a disposable box. What does it mean by disposable? Okay. They don't understand that. They wash it and keep it. And you find your kitchen is full of such boxes. Right? Anything that you have, anything that you pass by, you collect it. And you have a whole loft of one of the most interesting things that I have I will definitely appreciate about US is they don't have the system of loft. There is no loft business. And your apartment is very small. There is hardly place for the family members. You are in no way you can even imagine of accumulating things. Okay, you either keep it, use it for a real reason, or you don't even go near it. Okay, there is no question of collecting it and planning to dispose it to somebody, because you don't have takers also there. Here at least you have a watchman, you have an ayama, you have somebody, driver, somebody comes, you give, there are takers. In US you don't even have that. So very, people are very, very cautious and scared about accumulating things. Very good. The culture itself, the lifestyle itself, ensures that you practice aparigraha. Here you have a lot of space. You can keep on creating lofts. You can even have 2 layers of lofts. And you keep storing things. God knows when you will use it. Okay. So, for a jiva who is a mumukshu in the pursuit of moksha, it is very important that one develops a discipline. And where one does not have this discipline of aparigraha, saying no to things which you don't really need. If you need, you use it. If you don't need it, why accumulate? Right? Let somebody else use it. No. Do you really have the heart to give it? Have the heart to give. So that is important. So this discipline to avoid the habit of collecting and accumulating things is called aparigraha. And parigraha is something that a sadhaka should avoid. Now the question is, why is Bhagavan called parigraha here? Oh my God. Something that a sadhaka has to avoid, and Bhagavan is called with that nama. Only Shankara can resolve this conflict. Acharya gives 2 meanings here. He says, Bhagavan is called parigraha because Bhagavan has the habit of parigraha. He just accepts anything his devotee gives him. Anything that is given by the bhakta with love. He accepts anything. In the 9th chapter of Gita, Bhagavan Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. It is not important that you should give me gold, you should give me diamonds, you should give me something costly. Give me a crown of diamonds. No, not important. As a token of your love on me, hey Arjuna, it's okay even if you offer a small leaf of tulasi to me or bilva, as the case may be. Where the murti differs, the leaf also differs. Okay? Patram, pushpam, just one flower will do. Even if you are in a place where you don't get flowers at all, or in a season where flowers are not available, pushpam, one flower. Patram, pushpam, phalam, just one fruit. If that is all you have to eat for the day, offer that to me, that is good enough. Toyam, a drop of water. Just these simple things that are accessible to you, just even this much is enough. Because what you are offering to me, you can't offer to me anything apart from what is there in this jagat. And this entire jagat is me alone, right? So where is the question of me offering something new to Bhagavan? Right? Where it belongs to me and I give him. Where is the question of that attitude even coming in? Where everything is him. So what is there which I can give him? It is only my love that I can give him. And as a token of love, Bhagavan says, anything, just anything you give, I will accept. Therefore, because he accepts anything that is given to him, paritaha grinnati, anything he accepts that is given to him, therefore he is called Acharya says because he is all pervasive. Paritaha grihyate. He can be invoked anywhere because he is all pervasive. Anywhere in any name and form, you can invoke him and worship him because it is him in every name and form, right? So paritaha grihnati and paritaha grihyate. Therefore, he is called parigraha. So beautiful. 421. Ugraha. The one who causes fear. Acharya says, Bhaya hetutvat ugraha. The frightening heat of the sun, the fierce monsoon, the storm, the hurricane, anything which is extreme or severe is called ugraha. And how do these natural forces get that strength? It is from Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the giver of such a power to these natural forces, to these devatas, and it is according to his order, which is based on the law of karma, that all these devatas function. Bishas madvataf pavate, Bishodeti Suryaha, Bishad mad Agnischendrascha, Mrityurdhavati Panchama iti. All these devatas function out of Bhaya because they have to discharge their duty according to the law of karma, which is the order of Ishvara. Therefore, he is called Ugraha. Ugraya Devaya Namaha is one of the nama that with which Maheshwara is praised. 422. Samvatsaraha. This we have already seen as the 91st nama, where we saw the meaning as the unit of time. Samvatsara is a unit of time. Therefore, Bhagavan being a unit of time, being time itself, is called Samvatsaraha. Here in 422, Samvatsaraha, Acharya says, Sam Vasanti Bhutani Asmin iti Samvatsaraha, where all things and beings reside, in which all things and beings reside. All things and beings reside in him. Therefore, he is called Samvatsaraha. 423. Dakshaha. Dakshaha will appear for one more time later as the 917th nama, 917. Here, Acharya gives two meanings. Dakshaha is from the root dhatu daksh. Daksh gives a meaning of growing or being capable of doing something. Now, as Jagat, as all the things and beings in this Jagat, particular reference to all the beings, all the living beings in this Jagat, Bhagavan, as these living beings, he grows. Therefore, he is called Dakshaha. This is the first meaning. The second meaning, Dakshaha, we saw that it also means being capable of, which is Samarthya. Bhagavan has the capacity to do actions very, very efficiently, and his actions being the greatest of all actions. Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Karta. And how long does it take for Bhagavan to build the universe? How long does it take for him to create the Srishti? Just Yugapat, it says. Everything appeared together. Just the snap of the finger and he creates everything. And another snap, he resolves everything. Right? In no time he creates and in no time he resolves. In no time he finishes the greatest of all the work. Therefore, he is called Dakshaha. 424. Vishramaha. Vishrama. Vishram kijiye means what? Take rest. Right? Bhagavan is called Vishrama because He is the one who gives rest. He is the one who gives relief, relaxation, respite. To whom? To all the bhaktas who are caught in samsara, the ocean of samsara, tossed by the waves of pain, sorrow, old age, disease, death, fear, insecurity, all these waves of samsara one is given to, and for all these years this jiva had been thinking that the problem that, the pain that he is suffering, the sorrow that he is suffering, the cause of all this is the world outside. For all these years, this jiva had been thinking that the problem was outside. And when he understands the fact that the problem is not outside, but the problem is in fact his wrong understanding, his ignorance of his own self, because of which he had a wrong understanding about himself, that he is limited to this body and mind. The problem being ignorance of the self and not being outside. In the language of Pujya Swamiji used to say, the problem is you, and therefore the solution is you. So the Ajnata you, the one who is Ajnata, ignorant of yourself, is the problem. And what is the solution? The Jnata you is the solution. Therefore, this knowledge, when where one convincingly receives this knowledge, assimilates this knowledge that the problem is not outside, and now I have diagnosed where the problem is and what the solution is. Habba! So much of relief. So much of relief, because I had been running all over the world outside, thinking that the problem is outside and the solution is also outside, not knowing how to solve these problems. Right? We have been doing a trial and error method to see whether this will solve, that will solve, including all numerology and vastu, which will make you run and run and run. Right? Not knowing where is the end. Now, by knowing that the problem is not outside, and the knowledge of Ishvara is the solution to the problem, the knowledge of Ishvara, who is not different from the self, is the solution to the problem. There is so much of relief, right? There is so much of rest. The struggle, lot of struggle ends there. A different struggle begins there, but a lot of struggle ends there. Therefore, he is called Vishramaha. And until the time of knowledge, until one is an Artharthi Bhakta, where you temporarily pray for Bhagavan, temporary Bhakta, contract Bhakta. When there is something that you want, you pray. Otherwise, let him do his job and let me do my job. There is no need for an interaction with Bhagavan, right? So, as an Artharthi Bhakta, when you are in need of something, you pray to Bhagavan, and suddenly a flower falls from the Murti. You feel so happy. Wow, Bhagavan has answered my prayers. The answer would not have come, nothing would have happened. Just a flower falling would give so much of relief. And you keep praying and praying, and finally somebody comes with a donnai of Chakra Pongal. They say, yeah, this is the prasadam for today. You feel so blessed. See, Bhagavan has answered my prayers. There is so much of relief. No? Whether the relief has actually come, no. But this relative relief itself is so relaxing. Therefore, he is called Vishramaha. And as a Jignasu Bhakta, where one takes to a life of Karma Yoga, where he practices every action as Ishvara Aradhana and develops the mind to receive every result of every action, whatever is given to him, as the prasada of Ishvara. Therefore, this Karma Yogi, he has a wonderful mind which stays, he is always at poise, at equilibrium, Whether something positive, favorable happens to him, whether something unfavorable happens to him, because it is prasada, right? And there is no, superior, inferior when it comes to prasada. It is, whatever is prasada is prasada. Whatever I get, I take it respectfully and then I consume it, right? So that is the attitude he bears. Therefore, there is so much of stress that gets released when a person is a karma yogi, one who bears a prasada buddhi. And Bhagavan is the one through whom one gets this. Therefore, he is called Vishramaha, the one who gives you relaxation. And the greatest of all relaxation comes with Atma Jnana, knowledge of Ishvara, where all the problems are put to rest for good, because you understand that there is no problem at all. You know, in Vedanta, there is no resolving the problem. It is dissolving the problem. There is the problem. There is no problem at all. For whom is the problem? Therefore, he is Vishramaha, the 424th Nama. Now, 425th Nama, Vishwadakshinaha, means the one who is very, very skillful. And he is also the one who bestows skill to all the jivas, including all the devatas, the lokapalakas. He is the one who gives them the samarthya to take up and to do whatever job is entrusted to them. Bhagavan is skillful in all actions without any exception. Any action he does, he discharges it with utmost skill and he does it exceptionally well. Therefore, he is called Vishwadakshinaha. That completes the 45th shloka. 46th shloka. Please repeat once after me. Vistarastavarasthanuhu pramanam bijamavyayam arto narto mahakosho Mahabhogo Mahadhanaha. This 46th shloka contains 9 namas starting from 426 to 434. 26 to 34. 426. Vistaraha. Sometime back there was an airlines in this name here in India. Now it's gone. Okay. But Bhagavan, who is Vistaraha, is not like that. Vistara means the one in whom everything is spread. The one in whom everything is spread. Vistiryate samastani jaganti asmin iti vistaraha. Because all the names and forms are in him. And he is all pervasive. All the names and forms are spread out in him. He being the material cause of this entire universe. So, including time and space, which are also names and forms, are spread out in him. And as the Adhisthana Karana of this Jagat, he is called Vistaraha. 427. Sthavarasthanuhu. This is one nama. Sthavarasthanuhu. Sthavara. Sthavara means that which does not move at all. That which stays put. The plants and the mountains are called Sthavara because they don't move. And Bhagavan is called Sthavara because he does not have any place to move. He is all pervading and the entire space itself is in him, and therefore he does not have another space to move. To move you need space, right? Where is the space? He doesn't have space to move, poor thing. Therefore he is called Sthavara. The Prithvi and the other elements, right? Akasha, Vayu, Agni and Jala, along with Prithvi, are also called Stavara. Now one may question, how do you say Prithvi is Stavara? It moves, right? It rotates, it has a revolution, and Vayu also moves. Everything moves, right? Agni is movable, or it at least spreads, right? Now, how do you say that these are Stavara? These are called Stavara relatively, because these 5 principles, whether in Stula or in Sukshma form, are constantly there, will be there constantly throughout the Srishti. They came at the time of Srishti and they will resolve back only at the time of Pralaya. Because this relative constancy is there, they exist through the Srishti, they are called Stavara. And all these Stavaras, okay, all these Stavaras, including the 5 elements, have a place to stay, right? They have a place where they are. And that place, that locus, is Bhagavan. He is the Adhisthana of the entire universe. Therefore, he is called Sthanuhu, where everything is supported. He is Sthanuhu. Therefore, Bhagavan is called Sthavara Sthanuhu. Param Brahma is Sthanuhu because it is Kutastaha. Kutastha literally means the axle of the wheel, which does not change while the wheel is in motion always, right? The hub, the axle of the wheel does not undergo any change and the wheel is constantly changing. Now this is compared to the entire Srishti, the Jagat. The wheel is compared to the Jagat and the axle being Bhagavan, Param Brahma, the unchanging axle of the changing universe, the firm, changeless Adhisthana of this changing universe. Therefore, Bhagavan is called Sthavara Sthanuhu. 428. Pramanam. This will occur for one more time as the 959th Nama. Literally, Pramanam means instrument of knowledge or means of knowledge. The instrument or the means through which you acquire any particular knowledge. The jnana sadhana is generally called pramana. Here, Bhagavan is called pramana not with reference to the instrument or the means of knowledge, because he is in the form of the knowledge itself. Jnana is called pramana. When you perceive an object, any object in this world, using the 5 indriyas, the 5 senses, when you perceive an object, it is called pratyaksha, direct perception, right? Through your senses. You directly perceive color, form, smell, sound, taste and touch. These are perceived directly through your senses. They are also called indriya pratyaksha, direct sensory perception. You also perceive things in this world without your senses. Do you know that? When you perceive the thoughts in your mind, there is no need of senses. You don't use any of your senses to perceive the thought in your mind. When you perceive hunger, you don't use any of your senses. When you perceive thirst, there is no sensory perception there. When you perceive pain, whether physical pain or emotional pain, there is no sense organ functioning there. Now, how do you perceive these things in this Jagat without the interference of sense organs? It is directly perceived by the mind because of the presence of the consciousness. Sakshi. Therefore, this direct perception is called Sakshi Pratyaksham. So, direct perception is of two types. One is Indriya Pratyaksham and one is Sakshi Pratyaksham. Even where there is no direct perception, whether Indriya Pratyaksha or Sakshi Pratyaksha, you can still acquire knowledge from this Jagat. You will still be able to recognize an object. This is called inference or Anumana Pramana, where you have the data already collected from direct perception. You make use of the data that is already collected to infer the presence of an object. For example, with the presence of smoke, even though you don't see the fire, you can infer and say that there is fire. Right? That is also a means of knowledge. Here, in this case, which is indirect perception, it is called paroksha. Direct perception is pratyaksha. Here, indirect perception is called paroksha. Now, why did we see all of this? To ask this question. Is Atma pratyaksha or paroksha? Is Atma known through direct perception or through indirect perception? The answer is neither. Answer is neither. Because Atma is not an object of knowledge. It is the very content of the very subject itself. It is the knower principle itself. It is Nitya Aparoksha. It is ever self-evident and does not require to be revealed. And as Atma, Bhagavan is called Pramanaha, the very knowledge itself, all-knowing principle. 429. Bijam Avyayam. Bija means seed or cause. Avyaya means changeless. He is the changeless cause of the entire universe. A cause that does not undergo any modification to become the product. How is that possible? It is possible because you do it almost every day. You throw up a dream world which is so different and which has different things, objects and beings. And you being the waker principle, not undergoing any change, you project a dream universe. Similarly, Bhagavan, though he is the Srishti Karana, does not undergo any change. There is no parinama that happens while he is the Karana. Therefore, he is Bijam Avyayam. He does not undergo any change and still remains the Karana of this Jagat. Technically, this is called Vivarta Karana in Vedanta. 430. Artaha, the one who is sought after by all. Why is he sought after by all? Because he is of the nature of Ananda, the previous class that we saw. Because he is of the nature of Ananda, knowingly or unknowingly, whatever one seeks, he is actually seeking Ananda through his pursuit, any goal that he has, any end that he has in his life. Therefore, Bhagavan is called Artaha, the one who is sought after by all. 431. Anartaha. Now, what is this? Everyone has Bhagavan as their Artha. Now, what is that which is the Artha for Bhagavan? What is that which Bhagavan seeks to accomplish? Bhagavan has got nothing of that sort. Because Bhagavan is Purna Swarupa, Shankara says he is Aptakama. He is the one whose desires are already fulfilled. He doesn't have anything to accomplish further. There is no end that he has, no goal that he has to accomplish. Therefore, he is called Artha. anarthaha, not having an end to reach or accomplish. 432, Mahakoshaha. Shankara gives two meanings here. Because he is kosha, the treasury that never gets empty, that never gets exhausted. What a treasury he is. Even rich people are afraid of their treasury getting empty, right? Treasury getting eroded. But Bhagavan's wealth is inexhaustible, the wealth of this universe. Therefore, he is called Kosha, Mahakosha. And the second meaning Acharya gives is, as the Sachidananda Atma, from the individual standpoint, Bhagavan, whose nature being the self itself, is not known to this jiva, because he is as though covered by layers. The Pancha Kosha, the Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. Because Bhagavan is having all these big sheets over him, he is called Mahakosha. 433, Mahabhogaha. He doesn't have artha, alright, he is anarthaha, we just saw that. What about kama? He doesn't have kama? Because he is the ocean of Ananda, he does not need to seek sense pleasures. Therefore, he is called Mahabhogaha. And finally, 434, Mahadhanaha, the one who has the greatest wealth, the wealth of moksha. The ultimate happiness, the happiness in which there is no drop of dukkha in it, not an inch or an iota of dukkha in it. Wealth being a sukha sadhana, for one to experience, enjoy sukha, one needs wealth. And that is why people want more and more of it. But Bhagavan is the greatest of wealth, which is the moksha itself. Therefore, he is called Mahadanaha. That completes the 46th shloka. We will see the rest of the namas in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Our next class will be as per our regular schedule, which will be next Monday morning India time and Sunday evening US time. Hari Om. Hari Om.